So I don't have a question. I don't know. I want to try and get as much as I can out of this, for lack of better words. So I guess if you were in my shoes, what would you do or what would you say?
If I was in your shoes, that's quite good actually. Okay, what are they? Um, I would get right to the heart of it and make sure that what I want is freedom. Like I would explore with me to make sure what it is that I want and make sure it's freedom, that it is non-duality. Like a lot of the time we're running around this planet, and the way that we work, or the way that it works, is that you go towards that which you want, and often we're not even conscious of what we want. So we think what we want is enlightenment, but really what we want is to find a career or have a bit more peace of mind, or prepare for the new girlfriend or boyfriend, because we've had difficult relationships in the past, or because we feel helpless, we want to feel empowered. And just make sure that what it is you want is freedom. Because
I
whatever
think
you
so.
want, you will attract. And it's not a personal thing. Wanting isn't a personal thing. It's just a mechanism of these robots. It's like the way that, like the computers are programmed in a certain way. They're designed, I don't know how the computers are designed, but let's just say they're designed to take in information on a certain level about a certain subject and to evolve from that information. Not our computers, they don't evolve, but say Siri is programmed to evolve, I think, to improve every time you speak to him, to understand your language better and to be more efficient about pulling up information for you. And that's how he's programmed, and we're programmed to move towards that which we want. And it makes us feel like we have free will, but there is no free will, because where do your wants come from? And when they explored, you see they come from an infinite space, that they come from no place, and that no place is actually who you are. And what it means to want freedom is no longer desiring anything else in this life to fix you. And this is when you begin to want freedom. So seeing and checking to see if there's anything else left in this life that you still desire.
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess what I want, the main thing on my mind is like a big blockage in my torso.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been like a subject on my mind for so long, and I'm like, called it different things, and now I'm to the point where it doesn't have a name. It's just very, it's like a dam holding back a lot of water,
Yeah.
and there's times where it breaks,
Can I just really
maybe just a,
apologise to you? I'm so sorry, but my dog is going mental outside and I'm finding it difficult to stay focused on what you're saying. Can I just go and tell my friend to stop my dog?
okay, so I was at my anxiety. That's a funny label that I've realized I was calling it over and
Yeah.
over, my anxiety.
Yeah.
And but if we're talking about what I want, it's like I want it I want it to transform, or even that doesn't sound right. Like what I was saying is it feels like a big dam,
Yeah.
like a water dam, and
Yeah.
every now and then it's like it breaks open a little bit.
Yeah.
It's that flow, and so it's like that's what I want, but I don't like. It seems like I'm getting addicted to it, like
Yeah.
I'm a junkie for that flow.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's like not the right way to go, or
Okay. So would you say that what you want is for the anxiety to go or the anxiety to open?
Yeah, I want it to be what it is supposed to be, or let it go and just finally
Yeah,
let it go.
yeah. And how does that make you feel when you say that? I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry?
I'm sorry, this is really difficult. Like, I have to get my dog inside. So that
Okay,
stopped
no
now.
problem.
Yeah, so what you want is, I'll just say this again, I've forgotten where we got to in the conversation, but what would you say what you want is for the anxiety to leave or to open?
Yeah, because I know I mean, again, I don't know if I'm coming from my mind or my heart, but um, I I feel it there, and I feel like it could be so great,
Yeah,
and it turns so great sometimes, and I just feel like it's time, and I'm maybe not this moment, but eventually it's going this way where I want it to.
yeah. And does it make you feel nice when you think about that you want the anxiety to leave?
Oh, thinking about it.
Yeah,
Um,
like when you say to yourself, I want my anxiety to leave, how does that make your body
oh,
feel?
yeah, that kind of, I guess, would make it stronger.
Make the anxiety stronger. You see how powerful wanting is? Like it's really, and often we're really unconscious of what it is we want and how it perpetuates things. So
Hmm.
so actually, ironically, what you want is for the anxiety to stay.
Yeah, I'm unconsciously want it to stay there. I'm enforcing it.
Because by saying I want the anxiety to go, it's almost like you're calling it in. You're focusing on the negative. So try this now. Could you hang on before you try that? Can you just tell me what tends to create your anxiety? Is it a fear of survival or fear of others or fear of
I'm not
things
sure.
going wrong, stress?
I think it's survival.
Okay.
I don't. There's not like thoughts attached to it.
So so what happens if you say to yourself, I want to feel loved and safe and secure?
It open. It opens.
Yeah. So so what I'm just trying to show you is that what you want is very powerful. And when you want the anxiety to go, you're actually calling the anxiety in. It's like wanting the anxiety to go is like already in the very want, focusing on the negativity, focusing on that which you're afraid of. It's like I want the fear to go is also calling in fear. It's like you're focusing on fear. You get what you want, you get what you focus on. Even if it sounds positive, I want the anxiety to go, just the very reminder of the anxiety, just the word anxiety is entracting it in. When you focus on I want love and security, I want love and intimacy, I want love and safety, it instantly calls in more of what you actually truly want. And we're taught how to want, and what we're normally taught is to want the negative. So when we're younger, our parents teach us to want stress, teach us to want fear. They're not conscious of it, but they keep focusing on it. So when they get a house, they're actually getting the house not because they truly want the house from a place of love, but they're getting the house or buying the house because they're afraid of being homeless and they're afraid of not having security. So they always attract in these feelings. So understanding the nature of wanting is really important. And there is this natural flow that feels like love. And what we are as humans on the human level is we have these innate feelings of well-being. Underneath everything, our feeling is of well-being and goodness. When we're identified and seeking for safety, seeking to not experience anxiety, seeking for freedom, then we're not feeling that well-being that's underneath it. We're focusing on lack, we're focusing on what we don't have, and we're creating all those things inside of us. We're creating that drama. Underneath it, there's a natural being, there's natural well-being. So when you say those positive things of your natural flow, it feels expansive because that's what you are. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, or is it a bit confusing?
Both. It is like I feel like you're well, what I'm wow. So what I'm doing is focusing on. Well, I've noticed that's what works is when I just relax and I focus on like it's just this shift in perception, I guess, huh? Like
Yeah.
looking at anxiety instead of like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's a shift of focus, and it's nobody's shift of focus. Underneath that, it's not. It doesn't belong to somebody. Most people are always focusing on what they don't want, and what you don't want is anxiety. And that's what you're focusing on. I want to not experience anxiety is focusing on the anxiety. It's calling it towards you. So somebody that doesn't want to be homeless, to say that, just in that very sentence, they're attracting that towards them. And often we're unconscious of this, so we're unconsciously acting it out. So say in a relationship, you don't want the other to cheat on you or something, or you want the other one to be faithful, or you want the other one to do the washing up, and you're not conscious. So say it's that you want them to be trustworthy. You're not conscious that you've got this unconscious want. So when you interact with them, you move towards them, and you're trying to get that from them. And you're focusing on that. You're almost calling them to be untrustworthy. It's like you go in with that dance, the way you speak to them, the motivations, in the energy which you're giving to them. Are they trustworthy? So you're already making it a dynamic between you two. And then you'll be attracted to, so say if it's the trustworthy, you're afraid of someone lying to you, then you almost like attract somebody that does lie to you. Because you're focused in on that drama.
So you're telling me this thing I'm doing, this little unconscious thing I'm doing, is the reason why the anxiety's here.
I think the reason why anxiety here is if we go into the storyline and why it was created, it's a very complicated dance. But now the reason it's being perpetuated is because you keep focusing on wanting to get rid of it, which is calling it towards you. It's making anxiety your want or not want. Where actually, if you focused on wanting love, you focused on wanting more positive things, and then not even wanting them, saying, I am love, like eventually getting to the place where you own those things, then it will transform. And it's a habit, it's a diligent habit that you have to do of seeing when something's creating anxiety. So say if you're doing paperwork, say now you go and do paperwork and it creates more and more anxiety, you have to look at what it is that you're wanting in that paperwork. And what if you're wanting to not be stressed, to complete the paperwork so it's no longer stressful. If you're afraid that the paperwork is going to hurt you in some way, like that that if you do it wrong, something bad will happen to you, that this is what you're bringing towards you. This is what you're focusing on.
So those moments,
you have to then,
that's like the best time to make it conscious.
Yeah, make it conscious and then say, what is it that I want to do from this paperwork? And then it's focusing on, I want to enjoy it. Like I want to enjoy completing this paperwork. I want it to be correct or whatever it is, but in the positive. Like
So reframe it.
focusing, yeah, reframe it. So putting it into what makes you feel expansive. Like, I want to enjoy doing this paperwork, or I want to do it right. Like, I struggle with paperwork. I'm dyslexic. I have difficulty with reading and writing, and and when I'm doing paperwork, I sometimes can have unconscious thoughts that pull me into negativity of paperwork. But often when I'm completing it, I'm trying to focus on the enjoyment of being orderly and the enjoyment of like playing like a child, like the enjoyment of filling it out like it's a game.
Hmm.
And that's very positive for me. Everyone has their own, and it makes me feel very expansive. So when I'm doing the paperwork, I'm feeling very expanded, like in doing it, like my heart feels very loving towards it. And this is what you want to come to do with everything on the human level. And it starts with knowing what you want, like understanding what you want. So if you want enlightenment, so say if you've got this idea you want enlightenment, it's like, are you sure that's what you want? Or are you sure enlightenment to you doesn't represent having bad experiences? Like, does the idea of enlightenment make you feel expansive and loving and open? Or is it making you like, is it something that's saying, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be stuck anymore. I don't want to have bad experiences anymore. What energetically is happening there?
Yeah, it kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah.
There's a week where I'm feeling like I'm right there, and then a week where it's, you know, swinging back and forth. Another
Yeah.
week where I just feel like everything's falling apart, you know.
Yeah. The reason it swings back and forth is the next layer. So this is talking on the human level. And then the next layer is the reason that it feels like it swings back and forth is because the more identified you are with the person, the more uncomfortable you feel. So then it will produce more uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. And the more
I feel extremely uncomfortable.
yeah, and then the more expanded you are, so less identified you are with the person, the more comfortable you feel and the more positive thoughts you'll be having. The more positive feelings. So that's the next level. That's the two things that are happening at the same time. So you want to recondition the person into the more positive in everything you do. Like it becomes a habit for you. Like but you have to understand yourself. So before you can change that habit, you have to understand what your mind is doing and what your mind is saying to you and what your mind and body are wanting. It's not just one thing. It's not just thoughts. It's also your body, your feelings as well. But there could also be other complications, like if you've smoked loads of drugs for a long period or done lots of drugs for a long period, or if you've just come out of real stress or depression, then it might be that your serotonin is very low and that needs to be balanced out as well. Like that will be too strong a pull for you. I don't know if
I
that's...
did used to do drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 10 years ago since I was doing all that, and I don't know, I guess a lot of it maybe has carried over
Yeah.
or still made everything worse.
Yeah. So if your serotonin's low, then if your chemicals in your brain, it's kind of, I see it as a holistic thing. So I see it as your chemicals are a result of the way you feel and think, and the way you feel and think is a result of your chemicals. Like it's all related, if you see what I mean. And if you've had many years where you've been like in real stress or trauma or taking lots of drugs or alcohol, then it could be that you need help encouraging your serotonin to be produced. If it's really, really difficult, if you're finding there's lots of stress chemicals going in your body, then it might be that you need to look into either natural methods or methods from the doctor in order to encourage more positive chemicals to help you have that pickup to get into more positivity, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Like it depends.
Okay.
If it's been very stressful, if your body's been in a lot of stress for many years, then it might need help to get started into this. It's like yeah. So you could
Well,
do
cool.
something like acupuncture, or you could do looking up food that helps increase more positive brain chemicals. Like I know bananas do. I like bananas. Exercise, walking helps. All these things.
So you're saying, no, so you're saying like all of this will kind of help just evolve me
It
or
will
evolve
help.
this
It will
body?
help make the person more balanced. All of this. It will help make the person more happy and balanced and live a more fulfilling life. Enlightenment, though, or freedom, is something else, and often it requires a balancing of the person, because if the person is so stuck in negativity or difficulties, it's really contracted and can't hear this other possibility. And the other possibility is, who is it that's experiencing that person? And this is the two things which I talk about, and they're really, they're separate things, because you've never been that person. But I recognize that when the person's suffering a lot, like it becomes very dense with clouds. Like if you imagine the sky as, like if you imagine the clouds as the person, and you don't realize that you're the sunlight, until the clouds pass. You can't see that you are that sunlight, and you are light. So the person is like, when it's suffering a lot, the clouds are very dense and very thick, and sometimes the clouds just need to dissipate a bit in order to remember that you are the light. And so that's a representation of consciousness, this consciousness that's looking through. If the clouds of you are very dense, then it's hard to hear that you are this empty looking, that your consciousness which is experiencing the person, because all the energy is in the person. But it's not the person that wakes up ultimately. The person is a habit that's appearing in every moment. There isn't a linear person. How does that feel?
Pretty good. I still feel like a contraction, but at the same time, it's like more of like a 360 view, you know?
Yeah, and notice that that contraction or that anxiety wants to have a life of its own. So maybe it wants to go into, I feel powerless, or I'm powerless, or I can't get out of this, or I want to get rid of the anxiety. And then notice that, feel it. So let feel that that's what's happening. And then say to the self, I want love. I want safety. I want intimacy. And it's not maybe going to happen instantly, but it's like building blocks in the human world. I've seen it have huge effects on people, this. I mean, it was a huge effect on me. I used to have very negative feelings and thoughts. And now I'm so positive. I sometimes think that people think I'm a little stupid, because I always find the positive in so many things, like a bit like a kid, I suppose. And that's your natural way of being. Remember, as a child, you just had this wonder, like
Yeah.
everything was a game.
Mhm. Yeah, lately I've been really feeling a lot of memories the way I used to feel as a kid.
Yeah,
Just seeing it all over the place.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
And
I don't
notice
want to
that.
take up anybody else's time,
Oh yeah,
but
sure.
what were you going to say?
Thank you. Just notice that. So when you have those memories, those positive memories, and those positive, wondrous feelings, you know, when you see a leaf and you just feel like it's the first time you see it, you feel like it's so miraculous. Like when you have those memories and those thoughts and those feelings, recognize it for what it is. We get so lost in the tangle of negativity and shoulds and shouldn'ts and all of that. But nice, it was really nice speaking to you, and thank you for being considerate about other people. That's,
Thank you.
yeah,
I'll
lots of
let you know
love.
how it goes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, do.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.